Transportation Committee meeting is called to order. First, I'd like to ask our interpreters to explain how to access the interpretation services. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Announcement from the interpreter. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the screen where the meeting controls are. Click on interpretation icon, world, and select English as your language. If you're joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the ellipsis, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on the mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish flow in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you're in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Aviso por parte del intérprete. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio, silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of San Diego region have historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and the homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States. From 4 cultural groups, the Kumaya-Digueño, the Sueño, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from the indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Now, please enjoy me for the pledge. Oops. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So Francesca, can you please confirm a quorum?
Thank you, Chair. We do have a quorum this morning. The only voting jurisdiction that's absent is North County Transit District.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to non-agenda public and member comments. Francesca, do we have any public comments for non-agenda items?
Thank you. We do. We have.
Okay, so just sorry with that, I do want to note we will be limiting people to 2 minutes per item today for speaking.
Thank you. We have 3 in-person public comments. We'll start with Jim Benedict and then go to Purita Javier, and then we have 2 additional online, 5 total.
It's perfect. It's easier, I think. Jim's first.
Oh,
yeah, Jim's first.
Okay, sorry.
Good morning. Would you like me to begin?
Yes, please go
Okay.
ahead. We have the timer up for you.
Okay. My name is Jim Benedict and I live in Del Mar, and I'm talking about the train tunnel issue in Del Mar. So thank you very much for allowing me to give you an update on the Del Mar train tunnel issue. This issue is very impactful transportation process, and I felt it was good to keep this committee with your brand of transportation up to speed. There are 3 tunneling options that SANDAG is looking at that are near Del Mar under review. 2 of the options have severe eminent domain issues. 1 does not. With the North Tunnel portal for these 2 locations under Del Mar and San Diego, by the way, there are 35 to 50 homes that may be demolished according to SANDAG docs. And the right-of-way condemnation process starts as early as next year. Homes can be adversely affected as early as late 2026. So the clock is sprinting. And you may ask, how do we know about eminent domain and the number of homes? We have twice asked through our attorneys via the Freedom of Information Act for details from SANDAG on which homes will be affected and where will the North Tunnel entrance be. Both times your SANDAG staff refused to comply. One response was SANDAG does not have record responsive to your request. I believe that SANDAG staff today knows exactly where the north portal is located and the homes involved. Just want you to be aware of this lack of communication from your staff to the residents of the city of Del Mar. But there is good news. There is a solution to any tragic eminent domain destruction in Del Mar by two of the proposed.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Purita Javier, followed by Cesar Javier. All right, thanks.
You say good morning. You say good morning.
Good morning. To whom it may concern. My patient, Purita Javier, requests my documentation in regards to how her surrounding environment affects her health. She continues to have significant anxiety in regards to the possible health effects related to quality around her home. Her neighbors have account, the use of which may have contributed to adverse symptoms, if not to her health physically, then psychologically. Scoring for repression via the PHQ-9 questionnaire is 16, which is moderately severe. Scoring for anxiety by the GAD-7 questionnaire is 16 in the moderate anxiety range. She lives in fear in her own home and avoids being outside. This anxiety has contributed to increased forgetfulness and elevated blood pressure. Her symptoms are compounded by moderate late onset Alzheimer's dementia, in parentheses G30.1.
Fortunately or unfortunately, very sad, we have the responsible homeowner association like District 9 Councilor Rivera. He is one of the governing board member of Air Pollution Control District along with my classmate, Mayor Gloria. I say classmate because we have been consistently attending the meeting since 2022. I didn't know that Councilor Rivera was a governing board. It was an accident knowing that two of our core city officials are there helping to bring about clean air for all. Last meeting, I was shoved off by the chair governing body because I was perceived attacking personally. No, it is the leadership trait that is coming out, practitioner of corruption. Particularly, I must tell the truth. I am in doubt why Councilor Rivera is here. That's not a personal attack. I am just in doubt. But reasonable doubt says so. And I must tell the truth. We have been in the community since 2012. 1997 for my wife, and this is now the impact. Impact to her health, leading to Alzheimer's dementia. She could not even say good morning or good evening now unless I have to poke and guide her. This is the impact of the brain, of the thinker of our core city, San Diego City, from the mayor down to the districts. We just attended the environmental meeting yesterday, and do you know what? We were talking about re-election. We were talking about
Very much, your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, followed by the original draw.
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. Thanks for the words of the first public comment person. He's worried. My comments were, I'm trying to better talk about, I'm having trouble talking about the future of the Lausanne Rail project that I wish I could better speak to. I'm understanding that Mario has described in public meetings several times now that they're working on a more north tunnel plan. That's very much of interest, I think. To me, it's a way to help mitigate, lessen the future of the rail through houses of Del Mar, and to help with the environmental issues of the lagoon area and to help avoid lagoon areas more. So it's a win-win situation that is based on working with, I would guess, the Del Mar racetrack. They are going to have to negotiate with them to somehow go into their land more. For the Del Mar racetrack to be able to do that, that has to be careful and sensitive and just decent. Thank you to the Del Mar racetrack if that's what they're doing, if that's what's going on. I'm not sure that's what's going on, but that's my understanding. So good luck in that. And with that, I have 46 seconds to explain this one now that I've been having trouble with. Double tracking is a very important feature on the feature of the Lausanne Rail project. If you do double track, I don't really like the idea because I want a lightest footprint as possible. I think that should be the goal. I hope you use that second track as minimally as possible. As you know, it's a good idea to have, but to use it as minimal as possible, and that we really talk here in the public space about parsing out our rail service, to different areas of the county, and that freight goes through the East County, passenger rail, we use Lausanne Corridor, and then the military projects, I suppose, will use the old coastline rail track. Things like that, language like that.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Our final speaker on this item will be the original draw. You can go ahead.
So I'm getting kind of concerned about the, fire safety mitigation plans that you guys have. Instead of, really, I'm just not seeing it come down quick enough. I don't even know if you guys are working on it because doesn't seem like it. And it's with how important it is to make sure that there's ways for people to evacuate, that we're ensuring that they're not going to have any issues with that. And again, we've seen what's happened in the Palisades fire with roundabouts and electric trucks and different things like that. So I'm just wondering when you guys are going to take, the warning seriously from something that's already happened that has been detrimental to people's ability to evacuate in a safe manner and make sure that they can get out of whatever area they're in when there's a fire danger, let alone any other kind of danger. There can be many dangers that come down, whether it's the weather warfare through storms, like the government's doing it to us. They don't want to acknowledge it, but there's things that are going to make it so that people have to get out. And when we're sitting here implementing all of these things like taking away lanes and putting in the roundabouts and just doing things that are counterintuitive to a safety, I'm just wondering when you guys are going to put some kind of plan forward to make sure that you're not putting people's, because if people die because of the things that you're doing, you guys need to be held completely responsible for it. Even if you think, oh, well, that was a fire, it's not our fault. Yeah, the things that you guys are implementing would have caused somebody to die, as opposed to, easily be able to get out, especially when we're talking about walking and biking and taking public transit. I just don't think you guys take it seriously, and we're paying you to be up there. So you need to be making some kind of immediate plan to, mitigate all of those choices that you guys have made.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments on this item.
Thank you. Mario, do we have any agency updates?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Several. Good morning to everybody. As we reported to the board last week, we were at the Chamber of Commerce annual delegation trip to Washington, D.C. Mayor Duncan was there, Vice Chair LaCava, Mayor Morrison from National City, Chair Cabrera from the airport, and a full contingency from the Port of San Diego with leadership and job being there also. We all went and discussed important subjects. In our case, we highlighted the federal grants that are on standby. The good news is that they're starting to create discussion. And if you have seen the news, the first one has been released, the Otay Mesa East one for $150 million. We would initiate about a $36 million non-intrusive inspection equipment as the first tranche of a contract that's going out. So we're very happy. We did get asked to adjust based on federal priorities and remove the EV charging elements for the port of entry. But talking to North County Transit, I think we're also Washington DOT is already engaging on the San Diego Lagoon. So hopefully that one can go, also will go out. There are other grants that are on hold, the Chula Vista Palomar Grant, Besta Street, among any others. But hopefully things are starting to move. DOT has expressed that. We also met with the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, and we did discuss several projects that we work with the Navy, the Besta Street project, as well as Pacific Highway corridor study for that would include the potential Nowhere project and include the traffic generator so we can scope Pac Highway study. On Batiquitos Lagoon on project updates, we are in a pause on that project due to the nesting season within the lagoon work, but we're going to be working outside the lagoon, including the construction of some retaining walls along Avenida Encina. I'm very excited to announce that next month on Thursday, May 8th, we will be hosting a microtransit joint working group forum. The more I talk to the different local entities, I see that that last mile is something that it's important. So this forum is going to be very informative for all the member agencies. So everybody will be invited. I hope you can join us, your cities can join us. And this is a great opportunity in advance to the grant notice. We will take it through the different policy committees and the board to for the guidelines and release. But hopefully this summer we can release a microtransit grant opportunities for local entities. So that will be great. I want to remind on Bike Anywhere today. Bike Anywhere Day is approaching May 15. We have about 1,800 people already registered. We're going to have about 109 pit stops, and I know a lot of the local cities have signed up to be a pit stop. As I continue to brief on the toll operations and our back office systems that we are working to bring in online, a new one, there are now 3 last steps that need to occur, and they're very big steps, which is interface, data migration, and user testing. Interface is not just that we have a company or a software reading the tags of the toll or the managed lanes, and then they send the information to a back office. We have in between multiple companies who do photographs of license plates and process them, credit card processing, and an array of different activities. So the next step is now interfacing all those activities and seeing if they're working. That's a very intensive effort. The first test that we ran wasn't optimal, and that's okay. When you have complicated issues, a complicated software, you're always going to have bumps on the road. But on my effort to keep the transparency, I'm just letting you know where we are in the process. I'll let TC, I'll let the board know if we see any potential impacts on the schedules. Right now, we're just assessing with Deloitte and A2B, but those are the steps. Those are the 3 final steps to go live, but they're huge steps that we're working on. So I just wanted to up you on that. And I also want to finalize which what we've been bringing up is the nationwide text and email scan on toll roads. I'm asking people to pay their tolls. Now it's even parking spots and this and that. So I just want to keep alerting people about that. Thank you. And that's my update.
Thank you, Mario. Any member comments, updates, questions? Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. For the consent calendar, for those who are speaking, please give us an indication which item you're speaking to and do your best to stay on topic. Does any member want to pull a consent calendar item? Seeing none, Francesca, do we have any public comment on consent?
Thank you, Chair. We have 3 public comments on consent. We'll start with Cesar Javier and then go to the original draw.
Cesar Javier. Thank you, SANDAG. This is really a university of life that has to be attended by San Diegans. Thank you, SANDAG. Minutes, documentations of 4 April 25 is good, better, best. Was the discussion adequate? Good, better, best. The quality of planning and rulemaking and rule implementation, science says algorithm is the word, which Councilor Rivera has mentioned in our meeting yesterday. I am trying to portray the villain and the good man based on the movies of Death Valley, a historical movie which everybody should review as we are alive as American citizens. Algorithm. Good, better, best. No question. SANDAG, thank you. It is science in the making. The flavor of the thinkers' inputs is science in the making. However, we see as public representative from my community, in the Venn diagram, it shows less on the aspect of unintended consequences. The intuition from amongst the thinkers should be expanded some more, dig some more. Act of God.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our
We
next
can never
speaker
defeat.
will be the original draw, followed by Blair Beekman.
So I'm talking about number 2. You're talking about an increase in $75 million for transportation. The sad thing is that we don't really see, everything moves at a snail's pace. You guys get money very quickly and you tend to allocate it and, put it towards things, but we don't see things moving in a fast manner unless it has to do with like bike lanes or something that gets us out of our cars to make it so that, we have to get into our little 15-minute city of just traveling around because it takes so long even to take public transit. It's like you guys are working very hard to, push the United Nations agenda, but you're not really doing what the people are asking. I mean, even with the Lausanne rail corridor things, I mean, it's really disturbing to see the types of things that you want to implement that the people, are strongly opposed to. And, yet we spend a lot of money towards it. And again, it's like, you don't see things. I mean, the roads are in horrific conditions. It's not like, things are getting easier for people. It's actually getting harder and, you're spending our money to do it. And it's just kind of sad to see again that we don't have any kind of implementation for, fire, dangers and what we're going to do there. But, we'll sure put in some bike lanes that hardly anybody uses. It's like you guys think if we build it, they will come. But I mean, we should be doing things that are making it easier for people to get around, not taking away taking away parking spots or lanes or lowering speed limits, you know, severely impeding people's ability to just really travel freely. That's the roads belong to the people. And, you know, even to have to pay to use them again is rather ridiculous. And that's, I mean, but you guys are going to continue to do that and continue to impede abilities for people to travel freely.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I'm just about to step onto the trolley, so it may be a little awkward. Sorry about that. I hope I made clear on my previous public comment that it was the idea that Mario had he's taught in negotiations about moving the yellow plan for Lawson Rail Corridor a bit northward. That's the intention, that it would then not harm as many homes or the lagoon area. So good luck in those efforts. I wanted to talk on this item, consent calendar items, about the meeting minutes of last time. You were talking about, there was a project about Indian energy project, an Indian energy project that encircles the entire Southern California area with energy station points that Indian tribes can be a part of. It sounds like a really interesting plan, and good luck in these efforts towards it. There was a lot of talk about hydrogen cell fuel use and being a hydrogen fuel station center point. I understand that can be a focus. It was very nice that the representatives of SANDAG, the Transportation Committee board persons, asked questions about that. They were concerned, and they had a good set of questions and a good perspective on the future of this issue. And it was very nice to hear. It was encouraging. So good luck in the continuing efforts for this item. And with the other item, just kind of a review and overview of SANDAG projects we need to work on for budget issues into 2026. Good luck to be thinking about surveillance tech and data collection tech, and that it's an open public process. Look for the ways that can always be open and accountable with the public, good public policy practices. Biometric tech is going to be incredibly important for our toll road future and such. Let's learn how to talk about that openly and to make.
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes the public comments. And I did want to note for the record that Mayor Pro Tem Bhat Patel has arrived for North County Transit District.
Great, thank you. If there are no member comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve consent. Moved by White. Have a second? Second by Elo Rivera. Please vote.
That motion passes unanimously.
Great. That will move on to the reports. We start out with the Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee report on the initial findings and recommendations of the compliance audit. And it looks like we have ITALK Chair Miriam Babaki to start the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the Transportation Committee. My name is Miriam Babaki, and I'm the Chair of ITALK, Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee. And we are here today to provide a report to you on initial findings and recommendations of the fiscal year 2024 Transnet fiscal and compliance audits. The Transnet fiscal and compliance audits have been conducted for the period of July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. These audits are performed annually to assist the ITALK in providing oversight for the expenditure of funds under the Transnet Extension Ordinance. And at our meeting on March 12th, the ITALK reviewed and accepted the auditor's summary of results and the fiscal year 24 draft audit reports, including the findings and recommendations. The audits went smoothly, and the cities, county, and transit agencies were largely in compliance. So we commend these agencies for these efforts. Draft audits were provided at the ITALK meeting for all the cities. The one thing that we'll also report on today is that ITALK was also asked to accept requests from the cities of Coronado and Poway and the transit agencies, MTS and NCTD. Namely, Poway requested to allow an additional 3 years to incur additional local discretionary expenses to make up for their maintenance of effort shortfall in fiscal year 24. Coronado requested until June 25 to expend or commit RTCIP funding that exceeded 7 years. MTS and NCTD's increase in operating costs per vehicle miles exceeded the increases in CPI, and there is a request to use the 3-year average to bring them in compliance per the ordinance. Before we finalize the audit report, it is required that we share our initial audit recommendations with the Transportation Committee, and that's why we're here today. And with me are Shannon Ayala of Davis & Farr LLP, that's the firm that conducted the 24 audits on behalf of ITALK, and also Shannon will share the overview of the initial findings and recommendations of the audit. Also, at the end of the presentation, Marcus Pasquale of SANDAG is also available, who will cover the next steps in the audit process and address any comments provided by ITALK. And I'm also here to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning. As mentioned, my name is Shannon Ayala. I'm here to present on the results of the Transnet agreed upon procedures for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024. The scope of our engagement is to perform the agreed upon procedures to determine if the recipients of Transnet funds are in compliance with the ordinance for the year ended June 30, 2024. The procedures were approved by the ITALK committee in July of 2024. We reviewed all 24 recipient agencies, and our procedures were performed from September of 2024 through January of 2025. And we will go over the 8 major compliance components during this presentation. The first compliance component is Transnet expenditures. Our testing included selecting a sample of 25% of the total expenditures and a sample of payroll charges if they exceeded 20% of total expenditures. All recipients were in compliance with this testing for revenue and expenditures. The second compliance area is maintenance of effort. This is that each agency shall maintain the same level of local discretionary funds expended for streets and road purposes on average over the last 3 fiscal years. All agencies were in compliance except for the city of Poway, in which they will be requesting approval at this meeting. Continuing on for maintenance of effort, this year was a re-indexing of the maintenance of effort requirement, and this happens every 3 years. So we re-index the MOE by calculating the growth rate in the construction price index and each city's general fund revenues from 2021 to 2024. We apply the lowest growth rate to the previously calculated MOE base to come up with the new base rate to be used for fiscal years 2027 to 2029. We were able to complete this procedure for all agencies except for the city of La Mesa, Lemon Grove, and National City. We are pending the completion of the 2024 financial statements in order to complete the procedure for these agencies. Number 3 is the local agency balance limitation. So this is that an agency maintains a balance of more than 30% of its annual apportionment, must use the remaining balance to fund projects. Payments are deferred if the unused balance has fallen below 30% threshold, and all agencies are in compliance with this rule. Number 4 and 5 is congestion relief and maintenance expense. So this is testing that all agencies are in compliance with the requirement to spend at least 70% of revenues for local street and road purposes, and 30% are used, and no more than 30% are used for maintenance. And all agencies were in compliance with both of these thresholds. Next is indirect costs. For indirect costs, we don't do detailed reviews on the cost rate, but we do obtain an explanation if the indirect costs exceed 10% of total indirect cost expenditures. And we did have 2 agencies, the county and city of San Diego, in which the total indirect costs did exceed 10%. This is really due to a result of internal staff being used on projects and overhead being charged on that staff. In addition, we did have one finding for Caltrans. We noted that they overcharged direct costs by $77,000 due to changes in allocation percentages for indirect costs. And they will be correcting that error in fiscal year 24-25. Okay. Number 7 is the RTCIP program. For this procedure, we review the exaction fees charged by the cities and county to ensure that they're in compliance with the ordinance. And then we also ensure that they have committed or expended funds within 7 years. All agencies were in compliance with the exaction fees collected except for City of Coronado and County of San Diego. And then all agencies expended or committed funds within the 7 years, except for the City of Coronado. As mentioned, both will be obtaining approvals today. Lastly, we have our transit operator eligibility, where we review the increase in operating costs per revenue vehicle hour for buses and rail, and determine if MTS and NCTD are in compliance with this. They were both in compliance for the increase in operating costs per revenue vehicle hour for bus services. However, they were not for rail services. With that, I can answer, or I'll turn it over to Marcus and answer any questions that you may have once he's complete.
Thank you, Shannon. Good morning, members of the Transportation Committee. I'm Marcus Pasquale with SANDAG staff, and I'll briefly go over the next steps. For the ordinance, ITALK is required to have at least 60 days from today's transportation meeting to accept the results. 60 days from now is June 17th, with the soonest possible ITALK meeting thereafter scheduled for July 9th. After ITALK approval on this date, the results of the audit will be included in the ITALK's Transnet annual report, scheduled to go to the Board of Directors meeting on July 25th. That will conclude item 4. I will now turn it back over to the chair for questions and comments before proceeding to item 5.
Thank you. We will go ahead and first start with public comment. Francesca, do we have any public commenters on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We have one public comment, the original draw. You can go ahead.
Look at that one public comment on the iTalk. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't even know. I was actually doing something while I was listening to that because sometimes people have to do other things. And, you know, just everything that, what I think you need to be putting in these types of reports is, again, making sure that what you're doing is what the people want, that, you know, you're going to be working against any kind of vehicle miles traveled tax that's going to be coming down the pipe to make it so that people can't even afford to get anywhere. I think you need to be figuring out if that is the best plan to make it easier for people as opposed to making it more difficult, especially when people are just having trouble making ends meet as, we're constantly paying more and more for all of the things, that all the services that, whether it's the county or the cities, whoever wants to provide, it's really putting people in a pickle to be able to just, figure out where they're going to spend their money, if they're going to be able to, do certain things just because, if they don't pay for whatever it is, their house could potentially be taken. But so, when we're talking about people being able to travel, you need to be making sure that when you're implementing things that it's not hindering people's lives on a massive scale. And that seems to be what you guys are engaged in on a, regular basis. And I just think you need to put yourself in people's positions of, what if you were just trying to, figure out what your next meal is going to be, and if, having to pay just to go to work or even to see your family, pick up your kids, have them go to school, that you're going to have to pay more and more money as time goes. And if that's really what the way you guys want to go down.
Thank you, Chair. We do have one additional public comment. Cesar Javier, if you'd like to step up to the podium.
Thank you, SANDAG. One of the surprising positive impact here is recommending Board of Directors acting as the County Regional Transportation Commission. I strongly, as a community volunteer, I strongly suggest. I am okay with this. Excellent, good, better, best. The only thing that I am in doubt of is how would the core city think of this great move, great change. This is a rarity. For 30 plus years of existence of SANDAG, this is the best. Please take over all essential life kit, survival kit. Uncle Sam is not mistaken to provide you monitorial support. That's good, better, best. When San Diego City was post of grants and funding from the federal, they revolted. They brought upon so many justification. We have civil rights need. We have LGBT needs. We have this and this need. And the language is crafted by the attorney's office, course San Diego City of this region. SANDAG, thank you. We are learning, if only to help our city. Councilor Rivera was very emphatic.
Thank you. Your time has expired. And that concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Member comments, and again, this is just for item 4, which is the actual audits and not the approval request, which is item 5. Do you have any member discussion on 4? Seeing none, I did have one question, which is, actually the results are pretty good, so I don't think it's that likely to be a notable issue, but do we track the results year over year? And is it possible to see that in a sense that the same issue keeps coming up year over year? Is that something that we do?
In the report, there are tables that show the last 3 years of compliance requirements and if they were met or not. So if you wanted to know beyond that, we do have the results. I just don't think they're summarized in the reports.
Okay, so you get 3 years. And because I know that the transit agencies perennially have challenge with the inflation item on the train, and we understand that one. But if there are other issues, it would be useful to know if they were recurring or not. With that, I don't see any other member comments or questions, so we'll go ahead and move on to item number 5, and which is the extension funding for eligibility request. And Marcus, are you taking this one?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. I'll now present item 5 for the Transnet eligibility request. The Transnet extension ordinance includes eligibility requirements for the transit operators and local jurisdictions to continue receiving their annually apportioned Transnet revenues. If a requirement is not met, the ordinance provides guidance on additional steps, with the final step being the submittal of a request that is being presented here today. For fiscal year 2024, the cities of Coronado and Poway, MTS and NCTD had requirements that were not met and are seeking to cure the requirements through their request presented here today. Pertaining to NCTD and MTS requests, Section 4C5 of the ordinance states that to maintain fund eligibility, total operating costs per revenue vehicle mile for bus and rail services may not exceed the consumer price index increase for San Diego County over the same period. If there were unusual circumstances, the ordinance allows the operators to either calculate the requirement as a 3-year average or exclude costs. Both operators are choosing to elect the 3-year average, bringing them into compliance for rail services. Approval of this request by the Board of Directors would enable compliance with Section 4C5 of the ordinance, and NCTD and MTS would be eligible to receive all apportioned fiscal year 2025 Transnet revenues. Should the board choose to not approve the request, NCTD and MTS would remain in non-compliance for fiscal year 2024 and would be eligible to receive fiscal year 2025 Transnet revenues equal only to those received in fiscal year 2024, adjusted for any increase in the transportation-specific CPI for San Diego County. We also have 2 eligibility requests from the cities. The city of Coronado, which did not expend or commit $19,519 within 7 years of receiving the funds, is requesting until June 30th, 2025 to commit or expend the funds as allowed by the ordinance. The city has already started working with SANDAG staff in fiscal year 2025 to program the related funds, therefore committing them. We also have the city of Poway, who did not meet their maintenance of effort threshold this year with a deficit of $92,916. Under the ordinance, MOE is defined as maintaining the same level of discretionary funds for street and road purposes over the last 3 years, and that under special circumstances may request 3 additional years to make up for the deficit, which the city has requested to do today. Should the Transportation Committee recommend approval of today's request, the request will be scheduled for consideration at next Friday's April 25th board meeting. We have representatives for questions from NCTD, MTS, and Poway and Coronado, if the committee has any questions directed for them. Additionally, the requests are on attachments 2 through 5. I would also like to add for your consideration that these requests were presented to the ITALK at their March 12th meeting and recommend approval of these 4 requests at today's meeting. Thank you, Chair, and that concludes the item.
Thank you, Marcus. Can we start with public comment on item number 5?
Thank you, Chair. We have 2 public comments. Cesar Javier will be first, followed by the original draw.
District 9, San Diego City, the show window city of the region. I could only dream that this kind of public service agency, commission authorized by Uncle Sam, would be the same power as given to the politicians of the core city of San Diego. We take over, SANDAG. We take over, because that's the only way we could save our core city, the show window of the region.
So Javier, I really
Thank
do.
you.
Oops, really
For
do
this-
appreciate your comments, but I'm curious if you have any comments on these
Thank you.
requests.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was excited to declare that the takeover of SANDAG on this county transportation is laudable. Not only timely, but it should be done before this year. Is it because of the absence of District 1 supervisor? Maybe. But we have a representative here. What can you say, sir? They're taking over county's transportation sphere. That part of governance. Thank you, SANDAG. I could only dream that it should be the same on the element of urban planning on MAN, which means the nitty-gritty on how MAN should survive in a long-term basis as mandated by SEQA. Transportation, circulation, mobility, and even communication is well done, SANDAG. Well done. And I could only dream again, I say again and again, that governance should be ruled, crafted, ruled, implemented the way SANDAG is doing, hopefully for the core city, which is San Diego City, where one of the councilors is.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our final speaker on this item will be the original draw. You can go ahead.
Yeah, this is interesting, because I mean, we know there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse taking place, but we're talking about $20,000-ish, well, just under that, for one of these, that hasn't been expended over 7 years. And I'm just wondering, like, if you want them to put it towards something, what could that really go towards? Like a paint strip somewhere? You know, like what, and if that wasn't spent on whatever it was supposed to be allocated for, you know, I guess why is it sitting there? But I mean, that's why I need to look more into the racketeering and SANDAG, because it's a lot of throwing of money around. And we'll like highlight things like this, or like a $92,000, you know, deficit or whatever that needs to be made up and stuff, but it's like little crumbs of stuff. Doesn't really get to the meats and potatoes of, you know, all of the fraud, waste, and abuse that's taking place. I mean, just in San Diego, really, I mean, we have a DA who's the ringleader of this RICO enterprise. And then we have just, you know, different peoples and members from different cities that are engaged in the same racket. So we just, you know, pay our buddies off and we make sure that, you know, the money gets spread around like that, but it doesn't really, you know, the lives of the people aren't really being improved. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, again, what that $20,000 or whatever is going to go towards. I mean, I guess perhaps some bubbles, or I don't know. It's like, it seems ridiculous, right? But everything that we tend to do these days and throw money at is pretty ridiculous. So, I mean, I feel like anything that, you know, I could say that it could be used for would probably be more, you know, logical than the things that you guys are pushing down the pipe. But, you know, it's cool. I look forward to looking into the rest of you guys, because there's always something to find, because you guys are always trying to hide it under a rock. But
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Any member comments, questions, thoughts? Seeing nobody there. I did have one quick question or comment for Poway, which is, knowing how easy it is to spend money on road maintenance, I'm curious why they're going across 3 years and causing us to create 3 years worth of paperwork, and can't they get it all done in one year? I don't know if Poway's around.
Yeah, we do have Poway, but I will say the ordinance does allow 3 years, so it might just be that they're exercising the full allowance that they have for the ordinance. But we do.
If they chose to do it faster, I assume they could.
Yeah.
Okay, so
do we have someone from Poway?
that's okay. You know, I'll just make the comment that I hope that we can encourage them and they will listen to just do it faster, so we don't have to do 3 years worth of paperwork for a small sum of money. That's all. But anyway, any other comments, questions? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve staff recommendation. Thank you. Motion by Montgomery Steppe, a second by White. Seeing no further discussion deliberation, please vote.
That motion
Um,
passes unanimously.
Thank you, Francesca. Try to take your job. And John can go home and figure out how to spend $20,000 now. I'm sure he'll be really excited about that.
Well, Chair, if you look at the letter submitted by Coronado, it says that the funds were already committed. They failed to enter it into project track.
Right.
That that'll be fixed. And not only that, but they will be expended forthwith. That's why we just asked for 2 months.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay, with that, the next Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, May 16th and at 9 a.m. And we'll see you then. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.